Kunja Bihari Jai. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jai. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharyam Tira Vanacha Yamuna Tira Vanacharyamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shla Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading this evening from Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, verses number 9. Please repeat after me. Atachitam samadatum Atachitam samadatum Nashakshnoshi maistiritam Nashakshnoshi maistihiram Avyasa yogena tato Abhyasa yogena tato Mam ichaptum dananjaya. Mam ichaptum dananjaya. Atachitam samadatum. Na shaknoshi maistiram. Avyasa yogena tato. Mam ichaptum dananjaya. Atachitam samadatum. Na shaknoshi maistiram. Avyasa yogena tato. Mami chaptum dananjaya. Mataji's. Atachitam samadatum. Na shakshnoshi maistiram. Avyasa yogena tato. Mami chaptum dananjaya. Ata, if therefore, chitam, mind, samadatum, to fix, na, not, shaknoshi, you are able, mai, upon me, stiram, steadily, avyasa yogena, by the practice of devotional service. Tataha. Then, mam, me, icha, desire, aptum, to get, dhanamjaya, O winner of wealth, Arjuna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Purport. In this verse, two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love, and the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Personality by transcendental love. For this second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is the purification of the senses. At the present moment, in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified, and in the purified state, they come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money. And the master also is not in love. He takes service from me and pays me. So there is no question of love. But for spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service, performed with the present senses. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart. And there, love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by material association. Now the heart has to be purified of the material association, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. This is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna. Then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam, and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow. And one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help one rise to the level of love of God. And then he is sure of his process into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga, under the rules and regulations, with the direction of a spiritual master, will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. Om Gyanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militamina Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishna Bhutane Srimati Bhakti Vikash Swami Nitramine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishna Bhutane Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitramine Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Prachane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Atachitam Samadatum Nashakshno Shimaistiram Abhyasa Yogina Tato Mam Ichaptum Dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the rules, the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So Krishna is further giving instruction to Arjuna, and these are successive verses, and he is telling, is lowering the ladder, so to say. And this is the second verse. So the best is if we are constantly fixed on thinking of Krishna. This is the best process. If we are constantly engaged in meditation on Krishna. And this, again, Krishna says, Arjuna, if you cannot do that, then be engaged in Bhakti Yoga. Follow regulative principles. And then if you cannot do that, then next verse you will see he's, so to say, lowering the standards. Please do like this, do like this. And Prabhupada is explaining that two different processes of Bhakti Yoga. One who is already on this platform, who is already fixed his mind on Krishna, and he's describing this second process of Bhakti Yoga, and this is where we come into. It means that we have to follow rules and regulation under the authority of a spiritual master. And we know that Srila Prabhupada, he gave us so many literatures, so we can engage our mind to fix it on Krishna. And in that way, we have to read these books regularly, so we have to get to know Krishna, and in that way we can meditate about his activities, and we can meditate about his form, and in that way we can be engaged constantly in meditation of Krishna. We know that even when Krishna was present on this earth, there were some devotees of Krishna, and there were also some we can say demons, that they didn't acknowledge the authority of Krishna. They didn't. Even Krishna was there, they didn't see him as a supreme personality of Godhead. And we know before this great war took place on Kurukshetra, that different kings they wanted to gather different armies, and they were approaching different kings. On one side there was Duryodhana, and on other side was Yudhishthir, as we know, and they were seeking their ally kings, so to say, because they knew this war is coming. And then Duryodhana, he thought, actually Krishna is very powerful and his Yadu dynasty. Let me approach him and ask him also to be my ally, to fight for me. And then Duryodhana, he thought about it, and he sent many messengers to different kings. But with Krishna, he thought Krishna is very important. Let me go personally to Krishna to ask him. And then Duryodhana, he went to Krishna, to Dwaraka, and he arrived there just a little bit before Arjuna, because Arjuna also came with that purpose to Dwaraka, to ask Krishna for help in this upcoming battle. And when they came to Krishna's quarters, Krishna was sleeping. And Duryodhana, he was standing by Krishna's head, and Arjuna, he was standing by Krishna's feet. And when Krishna woke up, he first saw Arjuna. And then he turned around and he saw Duryodhana. Oh, Duryodhana, you are also here. And then he told them, I think I know why are you here, both of you. But Duryodhana, he immediately told him, I came first, actually. So you have to fight for me. But Krishna told him, but when I opened my eyes, I saw Arjuna first. But Krishna told him, actually, by the scriptures, you should first offer help to the senior, who is to the junior, actually, to the junior. You should offer help to the junior. Meaning Arjuna, he is younger than Duryodhana. But Krishna said, I will please you both. Actually, I will help both of you, because both of you came. But first I will ask Arjuna. And he told him, Arjuna, that you can choose between my army, and Krishna, he had a huge army. So many soldiers he had, which are very powerful. It is described, they were very powerful warriors, and he had many of them. Or you can choose me. But you have to know, Arjuna, I will not fight. I will not take a weapon. So these two things, you can choose my army or me. Also, I will not fight. And Arjuna, he didn't even think about it. He immediately said, Krishna, you help me. You come with me. And then Duryodhana, he could not believe his luck. How foolish, how emotional Arjuna is. He chose Krishna over so many soldiers. And Duryodhana, he went from Dwaraka very pleased, very satisfied, because he got a huge army. So even we see that even in this point when Krishna was present, that Arjuna and Pandavas and different personalities like Bhishma, Vidura, they saw Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. They saw him as a supreme soul, and they treated him in that way. And some persons, they didn't see Krishna like that, like Duryodhana. But you have to understand, actually, Duryodhana, he was actually very qualified, not in these times like you have some ministers or presidents. When some war is there, they are sitting far behind the front lines, and they are like you have now war in Russia. Where is Putin? Putin is sitting in some bunker, eating, hamburgers and just watching the war on television. It was not like that, Before Duryodhana, he was although he was king, he was on the front line. He fought with so many kings, and he developed these mystic powers also. We know that when Kurukshetra, when everybody was killed there, that Duryodhana, he wanted to hide from Pandavas, and he entered one lake underwater, and he stayed there actually. He was this kind of power Duryodhana had, that he could meditate underwater without the air. He stayed there to hide himself. So even Duryodhana was powerful, and but still he is considered as a bad guy, the baddie, so to say. He was the main bad guy in Mahabharata. Why? Because he took this kingdom from 5 Pandavas, and he didn't want to return this kingdom. And the description is there that when war was to take place, that Krishna, he wanted to take this last effort to convince Duryodhana to give back this kingdom to Yudhishthira. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tatad evetarosa janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. Whatever Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, whatever great personality does, the common man will follow. In that way, Krishna is giving example that he's saying to Pandavas, let me try this last time to avoid war. He did everything, and he wanted this to make this last effort to avoid war. And in that way, he personally came to Hastinapur to try to convince Duryodhana that he gives kingdom to Yudhishthira. But what did Duryodhana think when he knew that Krishna was coming? He was thinking, I will capture Krishna. I will bind him. I will take him prisoner when he comes. And in that way, then 5 Pandavas, they will become bewildered. They will lose their power to fight. They will not fight with me if I capture Krishna. And we know that Krishna, he took a chariot, and with Satyaki, he was going to Hastinapur. And along the way, when they were riding on a chariot, Krishna and Satyaki, he's a friend, he saw so many bad omens there. The big thunders, and the sky was red, and he read so many bad omens were there. That omens, they were telling about upcoming battle, that many warriors will die there. And when they heard that Krishna is coming, they wanted to greet him very well. And then they organized so many things that they erected so many different buildings for Krishna, and they arranged that citizens will come out and greet Krishna, and they arranged for so many celebrations, and they arranged so many nice foodstuffs. They cooked feast just to welcome Krishna. And they wanted him that he takes palace of Dushashana. It is described that Dushashana, he was a brother of Duryodhana. It is described that he had the best palace there in Hastinapur, best palace in town. So they were thinking Krishna will go there. Only best for Krishna. Uh, and then when Krishna came to palace, then Duryodhana told him, please eat all these nice foodstuffs and you can stay at the nice palace. But Krishna said no. Mm. Krishna said, no, I will not eat anything from this that your cooks made. And I will not stay in this Dushashana's palace. I will stay with Vidura. Then Duryodhana, he was very, very angry. And Krishna explained that first I must be successful in my mission to accept your hospitality. I must. And in that way, he rejected Duryodhana's offerings. And then he went to Vidura. And it is described, Vidura, he didn't live very opulently. But what is most important, he was the devotee of the Lord. He knew the true position of Krishna. And also Kunti, the mother of 5 Pandavas, she was also residing there at Vidura's place. It is described. And Vidura, he always tried to help Pandavas. And he was always preaching to his brother Dhritarashtra, who was king. And he was trying to convince him that he should also benefit Pandavas. And in that way, we know that Vidura was actually very, very dear to Pandavas and very dear to Krishna. And in that way, Krishna went to Vidura's place and he accepted the simple foodstuffs and simple house only because Vidura is a devotee of Krishna. And we know in this attempt, Krishna, he was not actually successful. And Duryodhana, he wanted to kidnap Krishna. And we know when that moment came and that Krishna, he manifested his universal form. When Vidura came close by with his soldiers, and he saw from Krishna, from his body, different demigods were coming out, and different soldiers. He showed, so to say, small power. He showed Krishna, just to deter Duryodhana from his plans. And then Duryodhana, he desisted from this. But like we said, Krishna, he wanted to give this example. In that way, he could say, okay, now we did everything what is in our power to avoid this war. Now we have to fight. Now you have to fight. And in that way, Krishna is giving example by his living. And we know in this war that 5 Pandavas, they benefited for having Krishna by their side. That's why they were victorious. We know that Krishna, in this battle that came, he saved the Pandavas many times. He knew some things that only Supreme Personality of Godhead knew. For example, like when Duryodhana, and he was angry at Bhishmadev, that he was not fighting properly, he was not giving his 100%. And then Bhishma, he empowered these 5 arrows with his mystic powers. And it is described that these five arrows, they would certainly kill 5 Pandavas. And nobody knew about these 5 arrows except Bhishmadev and Duryodhana. And these 5 arrows, Duryodhana, he took them with him in his tent. He wanted to hide them. He was thinking this is very powerful weapon. And Bhishmadev, he will kill Pandavas with it. I have to hide them. And we know that Krishna knew about these arrows, because he is the super soul in everyone's heart. And in that way, he sent Arjuna to get these 5 arrows from Duryodhana. Because Duryodhana, he was obliged to Arjuna, so to say. Duryodhana, he owed one favor to Arjuna. And he told him, you can ask from me anything. And Arjuna told him, I will ask, but in a different time, in a future. So then that time came when Arjuna, he wanted these 5 arrows. And Duryodhana, he could not believe how he could know about these arrows. And then he was thinking, this must be Krishna. He must somehow know about this. So we know in that way, by meditating on different Krishna pastimes, on different Krishna activities, we will engage our mind in meditating on Krishna. This is our goal. We want to come to this platform of fixing our mind constantly on Krishna. And in that way, we need to, as it is described in purport, for us, it is important that we follow rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga, as Prabhupada is explaining. Why? Because Prabhupada is explaining in that way, gradually we will become purified. This is our process, that we want to purify our senses and purify our mind, that we can be engaged constantly in thinking of Krishna. In that way, Srila Prabhupada, he gave us so many things that we can be engaged in. Prabhupada gave us this wonderful process. Like in 2 days we will be engaged in Govardhan Puja. This is the main celebration when Brijbasis worshipped Govardhan Hill. It is described in Krishna book that Krishna, he approached his father Nanda Maharaj, because Nanda Maharaj, he was preparing everything for worshipping Lord Indra. But then Krishna told him, don't worship. He convinced his father that they should worship Govardhan Hill, because he was saying, Govardhan Hill, there's so many cows are going there grazing on Govardhan Hill. This hill is feeding our cows, it is giving our life. And King Indra, he is obliged. He has to give us rains. This is his mission. This is his obligation. And in that way, he convinced his father that they should worship Govardhan Hill. Anyway, you all know all this story. I will not go through it again, because I'm sure we will hear maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, when Maharaj is giving lecture. He will especially, I think, speak about this lila. I just wanted to ask to tell you that what Prabhupada gave us, it's very, very precious, and we have to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and that we have to follow regulative principles, and that we have to stay in association of devotees, and that we have to be engaged in devotional service. And in that way, gradually, we will purify ourselves, and then this taste for serving Krishna, this taste for hearing about Krishna pastimes, hearing about Krishna activities, will gradually develop in ourselves. This is our main goal, that we come naturally attracted to Krishna's activities. Now, because of our impure senses and because of our impure mind, it is a little bit difficult for us to be engaged in devotional service, to be engaged in the chanting. But we have to follow it strictly and be fixed up, and in that way gradually we will come to these higher platforms of devotional service. Gradually we have to advance. This is our mission. So okay, I will stop here. There are 5 more minutes if somebody has question, maybe some comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks for class. I have a question about rules and regulations you were mentioning. It's very important to follow rules and regulations to come to the platform of bhakti. Now, there are certain rules and regulations in terms of what we should do every day, like chanting our 16 rounds, etc. But it seems like it is still quite an individual process in a sense. So some people have different standards of rules and regulations that they are following or don't choose to follow. Like, for example, some people might choose to read a lot. They might choose to read 2 hours every day, and other people might not. And I'm just wondering, how can we find the best sadhana, or the best, like, following rules and regulations according to what's best for us, because what's good for one person might not be good for another person?
Yes, that is true, but still we have to understand these basic principles we all need to follow. These 4 regulative principles and chanting 60 rounds, this is the most important. When we are initiated, and we gave this promise to spiritual master that we will follow, this is important that we follow. And it is said that initiation actually it's only the beginning. This is the beginning from our spiritual life. So, but this, we have to separate things what we are doing in a free time, so to say. Some people will read for only 15 minutes. Some people don't have time to read, don't have taste to read, but still this taste will gradually come when we will stop doing all this nonsense thing and gradually become engaged in Krishna service. So this is a gradual process, not. And some devotees, they are going very fast, and some devotees are going very slow. But still we are on that path. It is the important thing that we stay focused on Krishna, that we stay focused. So with these basic principles we follow, and gradually we will become purified, and this taste will come. Taste for chanting more, for reading more, be engaged in service more. Gradually we come, and in that way, gradually we will advance. I know so many devotees, myself also. Sometimes, I waste so many time I waste. Sometimes I read news, what is new in the world, and this, that, Facebook, and then you lose half an hour, but and then what did you do? Actually nothing. But still, we need to find the right balance actually. Also, I know I had one Sankirtan leader. He was completely transcendental, and when we were doing book distribution in Croatia, in my country, and then we went to one house, and he tried to distribute one book to some person, and that person asked him, "So what do you say about this?" Because it was so much in the news. "What do you say about this Ivo Josipovic? He was like president of Croatia, and he did some nonsense thing, and he had to step down." And he asked him, what is this trouble with Ivo Josipovic? And this Sankirtan leader, he was, who is that? You know? And this man was looking at him, and he could not believe it. He had open mouth. You don't know the president? You know? He didn't know the name of president of a country, you know. So, and he didn't give a book, you know. And this was a lesson to him, so to say, that still we need a little bit, you know, information about the other world outside, and not that we are completely, you know, ignorant of things around us. So we need to find actually the right balance, so to say. Is that good? Hare Krishna. Okay. Bhagavad Gita as it is, ki jai. Shla Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanand.